If you choose this challenge, you will obtain a yield by growing fresh leafy greens. Yum. In permaculture, we emphasise that taking responsibility for producing our own food is a powerful way to enact the 3 core ethics of earth care, people care and fair share. Growing all of your food is probably an unrealistic goal. Very few of us do. Although we grow lots of vegetables and fruits, we still get plenty of our food from other people within our community. Our goal isn't complete self-sufficiency, but we do believe in investing time to produce high-quality food is well worth the effort. Principle 3 is obtain a yield. It's important that the investment in time and energy that we do make gives us a return. We're not just gardening for fun, even if we do enjoy it. So let's look at just some of the yields. Exercise. Nowadays, it's easy to neglect our need to move and use our bodies. Gardening is a great motivator to exercise. 2, growing food helps build our connection with the ecosystem around us. It connects us with the soil, the plants, the insects, and the water. And 3, psychological. As they say, gardening is cheaper than therapy, and you get tomatoes. In fact, you get tomatoes and potatoes and pumpkins, parsnips, peas, and many other great veggies. But what's the easiest, most reliable thing to start with? Which vegetable is the lowest hanging fruit? The easiest to grow, with the highest yield, with the lowest effort? I think it's leafy greens, because 1, pound for pound, they are just about the most expensive vegetable you can buy. 2, they spoil rapidly after being picked. Fresh from the garden is definitely best. 3, they don't need as much light as many other vegetables, and they can yield a fantastic harvest in a small space, so they're great for urban gardeners. 4, they're incredibly quick to grow. You can get a yield within a few weeks, or even less time with sprouts. And 5, they're incredibly good for you. Everybody should have at least 1 serve of leafy greens each day. So, how do you get your hit of leafy greens each and every day? By growing them yourself, of course. You can grow greens in the vegetable garden like all your other veggies, but I've got 2 options for you that are even more productive. 1, growing sprouts, and 2, growing microgreens. Choose one or try both approaches. You'll need a jar. I like these 500ml ones. Tulle or netting fabric. I got this from a thrift shop and just cut some circles out of it. So a circle of tulle like that. And some kind of rubber band or hairband to hold it on. All we need to do is, for small seeds like this, we're just going to use about a tablespoon, 1 to 2 tablespoons in a jar this size. This is alfalfa. And then before we actually sprout them, we're going to want to just soak them overnight. It speeds up germination and ensures you get really good germination. So all we have to do is fill this up with water. And we can either put the lid back on or cover it with the netting. Now, initially for alfalfa, we're going to soak them for about 4 to 8 hours, so maybe overnight or just for the morning. Once they've been soaking for about that long, then we need to drain them and rinse them and repeat that every 12 hours or so. So it's just a matter of pouring the water out, and I just always give them a rinse every time, so with some fresh water. And then I just use a bowl like this to ensure that they're not sitting in any water. It's very important there's no water pooling around the seeds. So just by leaning it in a bowl like that, it provides perfect drainage, and it's quite nice sitting on your bench. It can stay there. We just repeat that every 12 hours. After a couple of days, the seeds have started to germinate. You can see in this one, all the lots of little baby alfalfa sprouts are starting to grow. And then Again, rinsing, repeating every 12 to 24 hours. And within 4 to 6 days, we've got sprouts ready to go. They're ready to eat straight as they are, straight from the jar. Beautiful alfalfa sprouts. You can add them to salads or stir fries, or even add them to an omelette just before serving. So you can just use your own jar and the netting fabric over the top, or there are commercial alternatives like this, often little stainless steel lids that just help with the draining process. This one's plastic, but they just all do the same basic thing. Maybe they help the jar sit at a tilt like that. And here you can see these are mung beans that have been soaking for about 3 or 4 days. There's the original mung beans as they come straight from the shop, and then within a couple of days they've swollen up and started to germinate. I'll let these go for a few more days just until they've opened up and started to form leaves, and that's when I like them the best. But you can eat them at any stage. They're fine to eat now or even another week's time. Yum. Growing microgreens is easy. You'll need some trays. We use these recycled propagation trays that we get from nurseries, or you can find them at your local tip shop or recycling depot. They're basically free. You can get expensive custom-made microgreens trays like these ones, and they do work really well, but they're a little bit much for a home grower and they're a bit expensive too. So stick with the recycled thing. So the first thing you're going to have to do is fill your tray with a good quality potting mix or seed raising mix. We've got a great recipe that's linked down below. You don't actually need to fill it completely, just enough, about 1 inch deep, a couple of centimetres. Get it nice and level. Makes it easier later on. You might need a piece of wood or something just to scrape it. Okay, once you've got it nice and level, then we're just going to spread seeds over the top. You want them about 1 centimetre apart, but it really doesn't matter if you oversow. I find if I cut my hand like that and use the lines in my hand to control how many of the seeds I'm letting out, that seems to work quite well. So, like this, just sprinkling them over the surface to have about 1 every centimetre, going back over the top of any missing spots. These are lettuce seeds. They're just a mixed green of organic seeds, just the same ones that we grow in the garden. Any extra seed you can just brush into the mix. After you've spread your seeds, it's important that you get them nice and wet to help them germinate. Now, usually I'd use a hose with a mister setting, but a little spray pack like this works quite well as well. One hint that you can use to know if your seed raising mix is wet enough is when you spray it and it takes about more than 10 seconds for the shine to go away, that's when you know that your soil or your seed raising mix is getting damp enough. Once you've got your seeds nice and moist, the next thing we want to do is cover them so they stay moist. Now, you can cover that with a piece of hessian or a piece of shade cloth cut to size. But an even better method is to stack microgreens trays multiple trays high. The second tray on top, or even third or fourth tray, the pressure actually increases the germination rate and makes your seedlings much stronger. Water every day and check for germination and recover. Once the sprouts have formed leaves, it's time to expose them to light. From now on, they need some sunlight to grow well. Make sure you water them every day. They should be ready in between 1 and 3 weeks, depending on what sort of seeds you plant and how warm it is. Harvest just what you need with a pair of scissors, close to the soil level. Keep watering them and you'll get quite a few meals out of one small tray. The real trick to growing great microgreens is to make a habit of it. If you plant a tray every week, you will constantly have new greens coming on. With Sprouts and Microgreens, you can obtain a fantastic, regular yield without even needing a garden.